and welcome to Digital Influence. Today it's my absolute pleasure to be interviewing Jeffrey Slayter. And Jeffrey is someone who I first heard interviewed on another podcast. A friend of mine, James McCracken, interviewed Jeffrey, and he just blew my mind. Sort of real and wise and experienced in both marketing and business and sort of doing what he loves. So from that angle, I just couldn't wait to get him on the show. So without further ado, let's say hi to Jeffrey. Jeff, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on. It's good to be connecting with someone who talks with and connects with so many people that are out there influencing and bringing a message to the world. So thanks for having me on.
That's an absolute pleasure. And yeah, for me, the foundation of this interview is very much an interview you did with James McCracken. You did a series of 3 interviews with James, and it's worth touching quickly on that because I felt like it was just so comprehensive. I often refer people to the one on public speaking, particularly for people who are looking to grow their audience and to have a bigger impact. Hey, Jeff, look, this is just...
Right.
It just stalled and it's just started now.
Whenever you're ready, we can start over.
Let's start over. Well, I'll edit it out on YouTube. That's weird. It just didn't quite fly with YouTube for some reason.
That's okay. Do you want to start? We start completely over.
We'll start from scratch now, and I'll cut the front out.
No worries.
Hello, welcome to Digital Influence, and today it's my pleasure to have on Jeffrey Slayter. Jeffrey is he's a coach. I don't even know how to accurately describe him. Jeff is an amazing and inspiring individual. How shall I introduce you?
I don't know. I'm just some guy. I'm just some guy doing what I love. Like what I say, and some people don't. And I make money doing what I love, and I'm just enjoying my life. So, you know.
All right. Well, I'm going to take it once more from the top. Okay. Well, hello, welcome to Digital Influence. Today, it's my pleasure to interview Jeffrey Slayter. Jeffrey has been a real inspiration for me, and I know you're going to love what he's got to share with us today. Jeffrey's made a living doing what he loves, reaching out to people and helping them sort of transform their lives and their businesses and hopefully transform the planet. He's got some great messages, and some are really practical, some are really... will take you to the next level, and I'm sure this interview will be inspiring. So, Jeffrey, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks to everyone that's listening. If people are listening to this, they're probably the types of people that want to bring a message to the world or impact the world in a positive way. So it's an honor to be on the call.
Fantastic. Well, Jeff, I was at a bit of a loss for words thinking how to describe what you do. It's I know you do coaching, you do a lot of speaking. That's probably what I thought of you most with. But what's your business? How do you interact with your customers, and what do you hope to achieve in getting your message out there?
You know, I used to have a sense of wanting to achieve stuff. This is a little counterintuitive. After years in doing it, I've worked with over 3 million people in 13 different countries and spoken on, you know, at one time it was a big goal to be on the biggest stages in the world and all that. And I did that, and then coached some of the most successful people and you know, and then everyday people doing what they need to do. And I found that actually I'm still having trouble defining what I do because I don't know a lot of the times. And I think that's a common challenge that people have. But I've let go of having to define it anymore. My life has become the message. So I just do my best to have an incredible life and make it a life by my design. And then there's times I need to define what I do. So I guess if I had to define it for the people listening, it would be I support people that have a message and they want to make 6 or 7 figures or more doing what they love, so they can go impact the planet and make their life the message. People that have something in their heart and they want to express it out into the world, and it's okay to make money doing that. Especially what they do with the money is support the planet and the people and the human family. And that's what I love to do. And sometimes I like to make toast. I don't know.
Fantastic, Jeffrey. Well, I should say that one of the triggers for this interview was you did another interview or a series of interviews with my friend James McCracken. Now, James did 3 interviews with you, and one of them really spoke to me, and I knew that my clients and my audience would love to hear it as well. So I'll make sure I put it in the show notes. That was on how to build your audience and get your message out there. So any sort of wrap-ups from that talk?
Yeah, I enjoyed that interview because there was some real nuggets in there. Well, how can we take it to the next level of that interview? I think if someone has taken the time to listen to that other interview, they're really committed, and that's what it takes to do this business. It's not easy. Getting up there in front of audiences all the time, there's ridicule, there's hecklers, then the biggest heckler I found is myself, for myself, and I'm hard on myself at times, and I've just learned to become gentler on myself. So I think that the next level is the mere fact that they're listening to this or listening to other interviews, that's what it takes, is just pure commitment to do it. Anything we're doing requires commitment, and and I had to realize that I was bigger than my circumstances, bigger than my fears, and I constantly still afraid to get in front of rooms and afraid to do interviews, but here I am doing it anyway. And I think that's I guess the secret to it. It's not easy, but it is what it is.
Yeah, fantastic. And I've often heard that that the difference between bravery and fear is having sort of viewing that feeling of fear as excitement versus, oh, that's fear, I can't do it. So it's so much about how we interpret what's happening to us as much as how we're actually feeling. That the greatest leaders and people who speak on stages or fight in boxing matches for a living, they still get scared, but it's how they interpret it and how they then act on that.
Yeah, I would say it's for public speaking and putting yourself out there, or building anything worth doing. It's shifting our relationship to fear is I found has really supported me, but it doesn't mean I don't have it. I still get afraid. Hopefully people like what I share. Hopefully they do. We'll see.
Fantastic. So with that in mind, we talked briefly before the call that a great way to add to the fantastic value you shared in that call with James was to talk about what to do when you've got those first few gigs, when you're getting there. What are the challenges? So I know myself, I recently got invited to do my first paid speaking gig, and that's something that I might want to grow. It's not a primary focus for me, but I know a lot of the people listening, speaking is one of the main avenues that they'd like to pursue. A lot of them have written a book, or they've done something, or they've got a mission in the world that they'd like to achieve, and speaking is one of the best ways to get it out there. So what would you say are the sort of mindset things to get right before you approach a career in speaking or a speaking engagement?
Well, I wouldn't change anything, but I feel at the beginning of my wanting to speak, it was because I didn't feel good enough and I wanted the attention. And I felt like if I finally got on these big stages, that I'd have enough hands of applause and I'd make a big difference in the world. And then I was a good human being or something. And I brought value to the world. And really, I think deep down, I just didn't, at some level, maybe I didn't feel worth it. So maybe there's a part of me that was actually going after it because of, there was a presupposition that I needed to be seen. And then when I finally got on the biggest stages in the world and was on stage with all the guys that I used to look up to, it was just, I got off stage and it was like this empty feeling of, oh. Now I know it's not very motivating for people to hear, but I think the first step is actually get demotivated to realize that whether you get on stage or not, you're on the most beautiful, we're always on the most beautiful stage called Mother Earth, and everywhere is sacred, and we're always on stage. Everything's a piece on the altar. And I'm a piece on the altar, you're a piece on the altar, the people are listening to us. So whether you get out and you on a big stage, who gives a crap? What matters is that that we have the direct experience of life as a gift. Now, for me, I had to go through that experience to realize it, so I'm still grateful for it. So if that's somebody's path, by all means, that's awesome. But as far as a technique and a tangible takeaway, besides just the mindset of it and a little bit of hopelessness, because sometimes it requires a little bit of hopelessness to actually move forward, because a lot of people live in hope and fantasy, and it's really easy to live in the idea of success, but the process of what it actually takes is a very different experience. And the process of what it takes is sometimes to feel a little hopeless at times and then move through it anyway and keep going. And the other thing is that if you think your life's going to be any different because you're on the biggest stages in the world, you're going to feel any more significant about who you are. I can tell you from direct experience, it doesn't freaking matter. And what matters is what we have in this moment right here, right now. But tangible takeaways in the beginning stages, the first thing to understand is writing a book is not necessarily going to make you any money. It might get you some exposure and some opportunities. But if you get exposure and you get opportunities, what matters is what are you going to do with them. And many people go out and they want to go speak and they get paid, let's say in Australia, $3,000 to $15,000 for a keynote. Unless you're, hit a different level, then maybe you're doing 25, 30, 50,000 or so. International speaking engagements are more, but that's keynoting. And so what I like is a combination of people can keynote and get paid to deliver their service, but also at the same time they are keynoting, but they're able to share in such a way where people want to become involved in what they do, maybe get some one-on-one clients and that are actually influencing the planet. So my favorite thing to do is give a talk. I mean, I enjoy getting paid to get talks. That's fine. It makes it fun. And I can just use that money to impact the planet in a positive way. But so essentially, get paid to get talk. Give a talk that inspires people. There's a difference between inspiration and education. I'd rather inspire people than educate. Inspire them that they can do it. Inspire them that they have the answers within themselves. And then from there, let's say there's a CEO in the room or a highly paid executive that has a lot of influence. So if we can share in such a way where we speak to the leaders in the room and we bring forth and we present to them that we understand their challenges and show them that and inspire them to take their company to the next level, or bring their humanness into their company and have them realize as a direct experience in that talk that we have to sometimes put profits before people and put the planet before profits as well. And when we start to do that, that actually supports their company. And that if we support the growth of the CEO in their own relationship as a leader, it supports their emerging leaders. And when their emerging leaders are supported, they're supported, and their company ends up making more money. But oftentimes, the leader themselves becomes their glass ceiling. So if we can actually speak to leaders in the room to have them remove the glass ceiling within themselves or have the opportunity to it, and then share with them that we work one-on-one with those particular people, then what happens is we engage with them one-on-one. And when we engage with those one-on-one clients, I only work with seven one-on-ones a year, really. And then, but through those one-on-ones, I pick my clients, and they run very successful companies, and they have a whole lot of staff at times. So the work I do with them impacts potentially thousands of people. And so what I look to and what I've learned is speak to leaders in the room, number one. Second is don't not sell one-on-one executive coaching or executive coaching. If you do that, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. And more importantly, what you're also leaving on the table is direct influence into the companies that make waves in this world. And
terrific.
Yeah, and so I mean, even so much as some of my clients, I mean, we take adventures and all kinds of stuff, and it changes their whole culture of the company. Actually, the company has a culture. So
right.
So often the mistake I see speakers do is they just do speaking and they don't coach executives or work one-on-one with people, and that is a big mistake. And you can make, if I'm talking financially, you can still do very well. You get thousands an hour.
And right. That's certainly something I've sort of discovered over time, because I was probably like a lot of people who are looking to use digital media to expand their reach or create a business or reach more people. And it's easy to get into that trap of thinking, I know, I'll just have this course, a membership site or an online product or an ebook, and I'll sell them for $20 each or $1,000 each or $100 a month, and then I won't have to deal with anyone, and then I'll be happy. But of course, it's often only one-to-one. We get our biggest breakthroughs as teachers and educators and leaders and people. And if we're not doing that one-on-one, we don't get the real gold in our own knowledge and from working with clients. So I've really found that you've got to do that one-on-one stuff, and then when you really get it good, then you can look at scaling it into more of a group coaching model, and then potentially automating that and put it online. But if you try to rush to the online bit, chances are it's not even that good, and you're limiting yourself from doing your best work.
Yeah, it's very true. So what I have is, what I'll do is do mentorships, like a group of 14 leaders. And then I'll have another tier, which is just work with me individually. So developing multiple tiers and ways people can engage. What I have found with my one-on-ones is I just really enjoy them. They're incredible people. It's nice. We value each other's gifts. So of course I get paid for the time and the work we do, but I would hang out with these people regardless. They're just incredible. And what ends up happening is you work one-on-one with the client for 3 months or so, and you develop that good relationship. And then when they need a speaker or a trainer in their company or their corporation, they just ask you. So you're right there, and you know their company, so of course they're going to hire you. And so it ends up leading to other engagements within their company. So it's actually a nice lead funnel, but you don't do it from that. You do it from a place of like, I like this person. We can impact the planet together. We're supposed to work together. I would hang out with you whether we're paid or not. Good, you're a match. Let's go.
Great. And in terms of how you run your sort of mentorships, where you've got, say, 14 people in a room, where do you tend to do this? Is it often somewhere local where the logistics are easier, or do you like sort of getaway destinations, like running a retreat somewhere? Because I know you do some really exciting ones that are completely in the jungles. So what's your preferred way to do this? Again, thinking of someone who's looking to run some group sessions to get started, what would you suggest as a progression toward perhaps them running some remote workshops as well?
Well, I would suggest make your life a sanctuary. So whoever's, our job is not necessarily the message we share as much as making our life the message, right? So do your best to actually make your life a sanctuary in itself. So if you want to go to the jungles, then take some people with you, and you can charge them money if you want. If you want to have people, if you want to have 14 people in a mentorship and you want to have it on the beach, then maybe leasing out a beach house for 3 days would be a good idea because you like the beach, and then do it that way. So do it where you want to spend the time. One thing I learned from my dad, it was quite cool actually. My dad's he wasn't always a successful entrepreneur, but he is now. He was one of the co-founders of and the original founders of. There's a couple founders for Odesk, which is now Elance, which is now Upwork, which is the biggest in the outsourcing industry. And I was on a plane with him to New Zealand. I was taking him on an adventure, and I was like, Dad, and I was like, what did you, I said, I've learned a lot from you. I said, what'd you learn from me? He goes, son, I started with what business do I want to create, and I tried to jam my lifestyle into it. He goes, what I've learned from you, son, is you started with a lifestyle that you want, and then you built a business to support it. Opposite. So we want to ask, where would you want to meet the people to do your group work? Where do you feel most alive? And then have them come to you.
Great. Yeah, I love that we think first of what makes us feel most alive, and that's the end goal, rather than I want to make some money and save up enough so that I can go and feel alive somewhere one day.
Yeah, that's ridiculous to me. I don't understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So in terms of getting that first experience together, if you're getting some paid gigs on other people's stages, I remember you, James, and yourself talking about having your own stage was important, but can you talk a bit about having your own stage or transitioning from speaking and then presenting an offer? Because that was one of my key takeaways actually with that interview with James, was that a tipping point is when you start presenting an offer versus just speaking.
Yeah. If we present offers, we have to make sure it's okay by the person, the promoter, or the person that booked you. So I'll just preface that presenting an offer, it needs to be okayed by the person that brought you in.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
If that's the case and you don't have any programs built, like you need an ascension model, and like what I teach in some of my stuff is like an ascension model. You need to have like a less expensive training, and then it goes into deeper work, and it does get more expensive as it goes on because they get closer to working with that person individually and more specialized knowledge. But if you don't have, if you have permission, then I would actually suggest potentially standing in front of a room. This is very scary if people don't do this normally. Stand in front of a room, get paid or not, and then deliver something valuable that inspires people. And then at the end, you can say, look, I'm willing to do a $500 consultation for 7 people in this room. Here's a form, fill it in right now. Put your name, your info in here, write your credit card information, and let's go. But that's where the wheels usually fall off, is people never make that request because they don't want to get rejected. And I know for myself, I get scared every time I ask people, like, hey, would you like to work with me? How could we work together? Here's the moment where they invest in themselves. And it's a scary thing, but it's also an opportunity for them to take their lives to the next level. And you get more no's than you get yeses, because in a room full of 100, you're going to get 50 people say no. You'll get 30 maybes. You'll get 10 people that, and then you get another 10 people that maybe say they want to work with you. So that means you get basically, almost 80 people that are on the fence and they're not sure about you. And that's the way it goes.
Yeah, for sure. And I love your phrase of working with leaders, because what I find often is it's the people who almost don't look like they need any help who are most inclined to invest in themselves. It's the ones who, they keep, muddling along, maybe one day I'll just do a little bit of this, I won't commit too much. They tend to say no, but it's the people who've actually already done something similar. They've already spent a lot of money. Sometimes they're people that I would be paying to work with, and yet they're happily investing because they understand that's how you do move ahead when you reach a certain point. They're just, more reading books won't get you there. You sort of do need that guidance from someone.
Books are useful to a point and everything, but people right now, they're searching for what to do next for themselves in the order that it is. Everyone knows what to do, but the challenge is, what do you do based on the inflection point that person's at? Like it might, like in my mentorships or when I work with people with my one-on-ones, I could give someone, I say, right now, go write a book. And that might be the exact wrong advice for somebody at a different inflection point. It might completely distract them. For example, there's a lot of information about building online programs out there and everything else, when really, if they haven't built their website, they don't have their ascension model, they're not speaking, they don't coach people one-on-one. If they go build an online program, they have no database, they'll probably fail. But it's the right thing to do at a different point. And so people like you who coach people what to do at the right time, at the right place, is really important, because it's very direct and it's specific to the person's need based on what that person and where they actually are. So trying to do this business on their own, frankly, good luck. It's just very challenging. It probably won't happen. They just that's actually how they stay at a certain inflection point, is they think they can do it all themselves. I didn't figure this out on my own. I paid a lot of money to figure it out, and I still am investing a lot of money in myself and where I'm going and advice from the outside. That's the only way to go. Just to save time. That's it.
And how do you choose who to work with? Like when you're at a stage in your growth and you sort of feel like you're hitting a ceiling or a plateau, and you can get beyond, but you're just not sure how do you look for the right person or choose the right person to work with? Or how would you suggest other people do that?
I can only share for me, and I guess I'll do my best to share for them too, but in certain domains, like for example, in the health domain, they're not coaches as far as they don't teach me to present or business, but they teach me, they're masters in a specific domain. So they may not make as much money as me or things like that, but they have that domain down. So I like to learn from people that are specialized in a certain domain. And so I'll look for someone that lives and breathes what they do. Like the guy I work with in my health, that guy's in the Amazon constantly. He's studying things. He's going through the transformations. He knows plants. I call him like the cosmic gardener. Like he's just a genius. And to me, he's really out there. Like he pushes the fold. And I like that what he does is he distills information and goes, here's what to do. But he is really out there to me. But I freaking love it because he lives and breathes it. So I look for people that live and breathe what they do and they love it. The second thing I look for when I pick a mentor is someone I actually really resonate with, that I get inspired with, and they feel like the right person to work with. At an instinctual level, I've made feelings don't necessarily indicate work with that person, because they could make me feel a little uncomfortable. But instinctually, like a soft breeze, I go, that person's right for me. But feeling-wise, I'm like, they make me scared. But that's okay. So I look for an instinct level and an instinct level more so. And let's say, for example, let's say it's in public speaking. They're actually out there speaking. Like Like, I don't want to work with someone who speaks twice a year. I want to work with someone who's speaking a lot and has a lot of experience. Like when I spoke on stage with Richard Branson, with my business partner at the time, you know, it was thousands of people, and I wanted to make sure we got it. So I hired someone specifically who spoke way more than me. It paid him a lot of money, and I was like, all right, what do we need to do to tweak our presentation? How do I do it? And I paid for it, and he was great. So I look for people that have experience in the domains I'm after, and that I like and I enjoy.
Great.
Yeah.
So a further comment around sort of choosing a mentor, or, you know, buying training or coaching, or even an online course, is in a way what you're doing when you're getting good at speaking or coaching or selling or anything. You're learning a process to improve your chance of success. But when we're the customer, we can be on the receiving end of that. And sometimes you find a coach and they seem not too bad. You know, I find any salesperson, any vendor, but they've got excellent sales skills, and you can sort of end up getting sold to even when perhaps it was only really lukewarm. What are your feelings there, where you sort of feel like you're being sold more than you want it? How do you interpret that, or make sense of it?
Well,
because, you know, if I went to one of your events, for example, I might turn up thinking, well, I'm not going to buy anything, and then listen and get really inspired, because that's what you've worked and honed your craft to do, is to make people buy who might have been on the fence and unmotivated perhaps, and I'll come away motivated, and suddenly I'm dipping into my pocket for my credit card when I'd sworn I wouldn't. When we're buying, sometimes you can feel like you're being sold, and it's a hard sell, and that can be uncomfortable, irrespective of how we want it. How do you respond to that as a customer?
I just tell you to keep your credit. Just if you don't want to work with me, don't work with me. Like literally, so look, I'm at a point. You know, it's nice when you don't need to work with anybody.
Yeah.
Like, so I'd like to.
If it's you though, Jeff, so you're
if
thinking, I wouldn't mind working with you, but then you get a bit of a hard sell. How do you respond, and how do you decide whether maybe you actually should, maybe it will be good, but the hard sell's turning you off, but you shouldn't be worried, or maybe you run a mile when you feel that? So I'm just curious about the energy of the structured sale.
Oh wow, I've never thought. So okay, this is good. So basically, I'm in the room watching another trainer, and at first I say I'm not going to buy anything, and then I watch him and I get curious, right?
Yes.
And then he's really good at sales. What would I do? Look, man, if I'm supposed to work with somebody, it's already done. I know when I walk, like I just know. Standing in front of these rooms all the time, and just continually doing the work on myself as much as I can, instinctually, when I know, I don't have a reason for it anymore. The way I operate is I know something, then I feel it, then I see it. But I used to think there was something wrong with me, because I would know it and have no evidence externally of why I need to do it. But actually, that's how I built my life, and understanding that I know something, then I feel it, then I see it. Where some people don't operate that way. I thought everyone did. Some people have to see it first, then they have to feel it, and then they know it. No, I operate differently. I know something, then I feel it, then I see it. So for me, if I walk in that room and I'm supposed to work with somebody, I already know. Like within
so it's
10 minutes.
Instinctual again for you.
It doesn't matter what they say. They can hard sell me this, that, this. The only challenge what they can do is unsell me. See, the thing is the sale's already done if I'm supposed to work with them, because I know it instinctually. And then their job is to not screw it up, if that is their job. But at the other level is also, I know I don't need them and they don't need me. And in the end, if we're supposed to work together, it's by divine order. It'll just happen. So for me, with people that work with me, I do my best. And sometimes, you know, people come up to me and they're like, should I work with you? And I'm like, if you feel it, if you think it's right. My life will be good. And if it feels right, let's go. What do you want in your life? And if I can support you in getting that, great. And if I don't feel like I can't, I don't want that person. I just don't. They're not supposed to work with me. Maybe there's someone else they have a sacred contract or soul contract with to work with at some other place. It's fine. The universe, I trust the universe. It'll look after me. It'll look after them. So I know that's not a very technical term, but I'm not very technical when it comes to stuff. I just feel it. I know it. And if I'm having to work hard to get somebody's business, like someone's like, tell me why I should work with you, I'm kind of already over it.
Yeah.
And they should just like lots of love, and if we're not supposed to work together, that's cool. There's no technical, sorry, brother, but I just got no technical on that. It's very
cool.
instinctual.
It's good stuff, good feedback, and the instinctual stuff is obviously a big driver for you, and that match has to be there either way, regardless of the sales presentation. That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'm not really
go ahead.
push selling either. I think that's ridiculous. And slashing prices and all that. I used to do that. I think it's a load of crap. And I don't slash prices anymore. This is the price, take it or leave it. I do like to reward people if they do take an action. I can say, well, if you do this, I'll give you that. Like, here's a video program with hundreds of videos, but you don't need it either way. And I also don't like to sell from fear anymore. That's the old model, selling from fear. If you don't do this, your whole life's going to explode. Now what I tell tell people is, look, guys, everyone in this room, whether we work together or not, you're going to be fine. Like, your life's going to go on. You're going to have a good life. You're going to live. The universe will take care of you. Some of you I'm supposed to work with, let's work together. Some of you I'm not, and that's okay. But you're all going to be fine, and you're all amazing, whether we work together or not. And I want to make sure everybody understands that. Whereas the old model is, if you don't work with me, your head will fall off. And I think it's total BS.
Yeah.
So
awesome. So really sounds like part of your model is because you've got some really interesting free live events, don't you? You've got some free ones and some very affordable ones for both business and sort of personal development. So obviously, one part of your model is you can expand your reach and make sure that you get the right people and share your message with them. And some of them will want to work with you closer. They can step up to probably a paid room type live event,
totally.
And then from there you've got the smaller more intimate, say 14 people in a room.
Yeah, I did that
stuff.
I did that because I want to impact the planet at a bigger level, and if I make it accessible to people, then I impact a lot more people. Some people come to the free training and they're there, and that's awesome. They get value, they go home, they change the world in some sort of capacity, and then I never see them again. And some people I'm supposed to work with, we spend more time together, and that's the way it's supposed to go. But I did that because it's my way of just reaching and impacting as many people as possible, and the universe seems to take care of me where it all works out. So it's okay.
Terrific. And do you often sell directly? You talked about working with CEOs. Do you often sell directly to a CEO or one of these high-level sales straight from the free events? Do people come up to you and say, look, Jeff, love what you're doing. This is exactly what we need in our company. How can we work with you? Or do you say, well, first you need to come to step B and have the middle level experience?
The CEOs, I found that they operate pretty fast. They usually sit in the back left and they don't pay attention much, and then they look like they're not paying attention much, and they just kind of hang out, and I think that they hate me most of the time. And they walk up and they pull me aside and go, hey, I don't really want to do any programs right now, but how can we work together? And then I'll immediately ask them, what's your company? What's your business? What's the revenue? What are you up to? Do you build any weapons? Like things like that. Okay, what's your commitment? What are you doing? And I say, let's set up a meeting. And then we end up talking. And they usually, so I guess to answer your question is, they are sometimes in the free rooms as well. And we're supposed to work. And then they usually don't, they're committed to speed and just give me direct feedback. And that's what they want. And the group environments are good for them, but they're too slow. They need, and I can get done with a CEO in an hour and a half. What within a group environment might take 2 days. So they want to get in, do our thing, get clear, move on. So essentially, they do come from rooms, but the person's in there and they're out. Or I've had it where someone just goes, one of my executives clients will make an immediate introduction to somebody else, and then I'm on the phone with them, and the person's qualified, and that's it. So it comes from both referrals and from sometimes people in the rooms.
Terrific. And are those deals generally closed though in a one-on-one meeting where you catch up for coffee, or visit their office or have a phone call?
No, I don't want to spend the time to go out to their office. It's too much work. This is a big thing is if we're supposed to work together, then I'm not really an advocate about going to their office and then like driving for 2 hours and convincing the person to work with me. That's too much work. And if it feels like too much work, then they're probably not my client. It needs to flow. Yes. And so it'll usually go like this: hey, can I come around and let's have a conversation? And as long as they're qualified and they're serious, then yeah, let's talk. And the conversation will be, maybe it's at my house, something, bare feet, like having a conversation with board shorts on. That's, or maybe it's in the Maloka in the jungle. That's how some of them happen. Maybe it's obviously not in the middle of a ceremony, but it's like you're hanging out. Let's have a conversation. I've had the craziest deals. I'll be trapped. I'll be on a plane with somebody and they just have this conversation. Done. So I'm an advocate about setting up a meeting on Skype, or they come to you and you have a conversation. I'm not really advocating about going over, pitching them. That's exhausting.
Mm-hmm. Great. That's great feedback for people. Awesome.
Yeah.
And do you have the same kind of talk or the same presentation or core set of ideas that you use in different formats again and again, or do you invent a new one every time you do one? What's your angle on sort of fresh and new versus polished and refined?
I'm not very polished. I'm pretty shit for that. I see, I even swore. But I think that makes me polished, because people want to do business with people that they can have fun with and they can relate to. And if we're too polished, and ultimately they don't think they can do it too. So if I can do this work, so can somebody else. And that's a really important, is sometimes as presenters, we need to get off the stage. We need to be human and stay human. And when we be human and we be ourselves, it ultimately gives other people unconscious permission that they can do the same. So I'm a master at lack of polish. And so the most polished thing you do is have a set keynote that you deliver, polished, perfect every time. That might be someone's path. That's not my path. I have some ideas I present and everything else. Sometimes I swear, sometimes I don't. And whatever, if my instinct, I've been doing this for so long and I freaking love it. And every room is different. And if I relate to every room as the same cookie cutter room, I'm actually not present to who's in the room. So what I actually do energetically is I'm in a room, it's different from the last one. That has a different energetic imprint than the last room. And I relate to it as one being. And I feel into that being, and I trust this instrument as a body. And as I feel into that instrument as a body, I trust this instrument to say what needs to be said in the moment that needs to be said at just the right moment to get the shift I'm looking for that energetic imprint. Now, I didn't always have it this way. It just came from continually making mistakes and falling on my face, and then also being comfortable with those uncomfortable moments in the gap where I'm standing in front of a room and I go, what do I say? And I wait for it. And then it comes. But I used to really be scared of those moments. But now those moments are where the magic happens. That's the transformational moments. And so I am perfectly impolished.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So look, transformation is obviously a touchstone for you, and something that it really interests me too. Tell us more about what you feel about the power of delivering transformation, because in many ways that's all we can do when we work with someone, whether we're serving them a coffee or working with them on the highest level, or presenting a talk or a podcast. We're hoping to touch people in a way that makes some lasting change and a positive and worthwhile change. What are your thoughts or goals with reaching out to people and transforming them, or what have you found to be effective or inspiring when you've done that?
I feel like the people in my audiences, they don't need to be fixed. I think there's no place of. I know this is a little counterintuitive, but nobody in my room needs to be fixed. Nobody that I ever meet needs to be transformed. In fact, I think it's a transformation for us to just be where we're at. And if I'm just where I'm at, and I look at the next moment I trust the moment, then I'm at my edge. And when I'm at my edge and I'm slightly scared and I slightly don't know what I'm going to say next, and I'm right at that edge and I'm riding it, just like even right now, I don't know what I'm going to say next. It's just kind of the moment by the moment is where transformation actually occurs. But I'm not after transformation. I'm just being transformation. And I'm doing my best to be the message I'm here to be. And it's not necessarily what I say that matters as much as the resonance and the frequency that's being emitted, because this whole universe is strung together by a beautiful song. And we each carry a note in that song. And so as we emit our song, not because we have to sing or because we need to achieve anything, but we just be our song and we share our song, it helps the universe be in harmony with itself. And so my job is to sing my song. That's it.
That's beautiful.
And I don't have a reason for it anymore. Birds sing because they. And so
makes sense. So in a way, you're almost just being present in terms of, you know, we're all sort of becoming. And so once you're just present and in the moment enough and invite people into that, then there's the opportunity for them to go wherever they want in a way.
Totally. And you know, the universe will support them. The best gift I ever received in my whole entire life was I met someone that loved themselves so much that it gave me unconscious permission to do the same. And man, it just changed my life forever. Like, they loved the parts of me that I love the least. And then it gave me permission to love those parts of myself. And then it wasn't about awakening anymore. It wasn't about enlightenment. It was about integration. And my life has become about integrating the parts of me I love the least and the parts of me I love the most, and integrating it into as much as I can into a singularity, and doing my best to be that as much as I can. And when I'm not, to love the parts of me that are not. And that's when we're just being human. And man, it is an incredible gift to be a human being. And we're on the brink of some serious, amazing dissolving of boundaries between each other, between life, between death. Everything's changing, and it's awesome.
Yeah, remarkable times.
Yeah.
Well, Jeffrey, I'd really love to know a bit about how you work with people. So have you got a sort of a story of one of your favorite, your favorite ways you've worked with people, whether that's, working with a single client or taking a group through something, just to give us an idea, if I wanted to work with Jeffrey, what might it look like if I was a business owner or an individual? What's your greatest, sort of gift that you love helping people with?
It's a good question.
Where can you make the biggest difference, perhaps?
It depends on the person. Every person is so unique and so different.
So what's your best work, or what do you love doing the most?
Oh, I just love getting people back to the true nature of who they are. We've forgotten who we are as human beings, what it is to be human. We think that success is about a white picket fence and a nice house, and that's our definition of success. And we think that, when we're standing in front of the mirror naked, that we're actually naked, when really we're not. We're clothed with cultural programming. We're clothed with, this is what it is to be successful. This is how you have to think, how you have to dress. We're clothed in cultural programming. And I like to strip away the programming to go back to the original premise of what it is to be human. So what I can tell you is that the people who work with me have a lot of courage, because it's not easy. Transformation is transforming ourselves back to the original premise of who we are to be human, going back to the original premise of what matters, is freaking terrifying. And it's beautifully terrifying at the same time. So every client is so different, and certain clients are ready to move at a different level. I leave on Friday to the Amazon, and I'm with 19 incredibly courageous people, and we're with some of the top, but there's no top, but some of the very experienced medicine men and women, who these people will be moving through the trauma from other lives, other places in their bodies, and getting out of their bodies, and then we'll have discussions about how to integrate it into their life and their business. And using medicines from thousands of years at times. That's freaking hardcore. And that defies cultural programming, because most people call these are entheogens. These are spiritual catalyst tools. And that's something that can happen. And then we're discussing, how do you bring it forth into your life or business? And sometimes it's just a conversation. I don't know, whatever's needed in the moment. But I guess my gift is that I realize I have a gift. And that's my gift. And I hope other people can realize that they're a gift too. But I'll just do my part and realize that I have a gift, and my life is a gift. And I feel that if I just realize that, then other people, maybe they'll do the same.
Fantastic. Well, that sounds like an awesome journey, though. If these people knew how brave they were being, some of them might want to opt out now.
They probably would.
The terrifying part.
I know I do at times. I'm like, oh crap, here we go again. You know, it's freaking scary. There's all kinds of times I want to opt out, but I just keep going. And these people, they want to opt out too. And some people do opt out. It's fine. It's part of their journey. Maybe the opt-out process is part of their process to realize that they opt out all the time in life when it's about to have their biggest opportunity. Maybe they need to have that experience.
And have those sort of personal experiences, you know, that's sort of a self-discovery and you know, true experiential thing. Has that had an impact on your business life and speaking? Because you were talking earlier about you know, some of the biggest challenges with speaking is just being scared of getting on.
What I can share is this, and this is going to be slightly outside the norm, and I don't expect people to, they don't have to believe me. This is my life, my experience, and I'll just share from my direct experience. Look, I'm the guy that teaches transformation. I'm the guy that taught NLP, certifies people in holographic, you know, in holographics level NLP. I don't even know how many stages I've been on by now. And the most profound, deepest work I've ever experienced on myself has been working with some of the indigenous people in the jungles of South America with ayahuasca, huachuma, cambosito, and some of the most sacred medicines on the planet that have been around a lot longer than any psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is useful, but it's kind of piss in the wind without the combination of some of this other stuff. We as Westerners are tourists in our bodies. I know I am, and I still am in certain parts. I still have a lot more work to do. And it's pretty hard to be on a stage when we're tourists in our bodies, especially when our bodies are our greatest instrument for transformation and embodying a frequency that is needed to transform and move and evolve the human family. And so I do my best work to remove as much trauma in my body as possible. And I found that these entheogens are highly, highly effective tools and spirits for the support of getting us back into our bodies, because all these chemicals, all this, just the human experience itself in the Western world, there's so much trauma, we don't even know there's trauma. In fact, I didn't even realize how sick I was, and that's how sick I was. I didn't realize how sick I was until I continued to do the work. But of course, this is my own direct experience. I also realized I was shackles to what people thought of me. I wanted to please what people thought, I wanted to make sure that everyone liked me. And that's a shackle of freedom. And so as I started to break those shackles and just share what was in my heart, and people can take it or leave it, I started to feel free again in my own life. And just started to trust my instrument even more. So I trust myself. I trust this universe. And there's no greater gift in public speaking than to do that. And I've been meditating since I've been 20 years old. I've read every freaking book under the sun. And there's nothing that beats direct experience, because basically everything else is just intellectual masturbation. And I have learned that my knowledge at times has become my biggest block to the one thing that transcends all modalities, which is pure love. Love of myself, love of my planet, love of my fellow human beings. Everything else is just nothing compared to that.
Wow, great.
So for me, the Amazon jungle is so sacred, and those medicines are so sacred, and we have a lot to learn from those, and they have a lot to learn from us too. But there's so much to learn, and that's just my opinion, that's just my opinion. It just supports us.
It makes sense that the more comfortable you can get with yourself, then the more comfortable you're able to feel going onto that stage or sharing with people, because you know it does take vulnerability and confidence or getting relaxed before you can really do your best work on stage. So that really helps it bring it back full circle.
Isn't that what we want to inspire in people, in our audiences? They come to learn more about themselves. They don't come to see me. They don't care about me. They care about they're there for the people. They're there for themselves and the people outside this room. And that's why they're there. And if I can just be myself and do my best at being myself, then they get the unconscious permission to do the same. And that's all the gift we can give them. And then they go out. If they're meant to go build a business, they will. Whatever they're here to do, they'll figure it out. I trust them.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, could you tell us more about your live events and you know, how else people might work with you? Because I know you've got some fantastic looking both business and personal live events coming up through the year in Australian capitals. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, if people want to come along, they can. I do teach, you know, some sales and some stuff, sales and marketing. And I like to merge business and spirituality together because people actually think they're separate. So I'll just get it to the point where it already is, which is they're actually combined and they're integrated. And then so people that think they're separate, we can move them together. And ultimately, they have a nice dance between each other because they are the same dance. But essentially, I do a course called Free Humanity Event. Not because we need to free ourselves, because we're already free. We're just remembering. It's a 2-day experience. It's free. People should come if they want to. Some people hate it. They don't like it. By 11 o'clock, they're out of there. Awesome. Some people are like, this is great. And for the right people, it's great. I'm not here to work with everybody. So there's that event. I do a thing called The Gathering, where hundreds of people show up and they seem to enjoy it. I do a business live event. They just go to my website, Jeffrey Slayter, Jeffrey, Slayter.com. And on it, they can click on events. There's all kinds of ways that they can work with me, and I'd love to work with them if I'm supposed to. That's it.
And your surname is Slayter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got this crazy Y in it. I don't know. I wish it was just the other one because then it'd be cool, like Kelly Slater, and maybe people would think I'm related, but I'm not related at all. That guy's way better surfer than me. I'm probably like the 9th worst surfer in Byron Bay.
So, and yeah, what about you know, people who've got businesses or looking for that sales training and can't make a live event? Because you've got some online courses and like I did a free email course recently, which was great too. So they're all on your website, aren't they?
Yeah, there's all kinds of resources. They can go get the free downloads. On my front page, there's thousands of documentaries as well. You know, for people that like to do online trainings, that's great, but it's different when you're in person. And so I like to oscillate between the two of those worlds. Online trainings are great, but if you just do online all the time and you don't get into human experience, most likely you can only go so far.
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense. Well, fantastic, Jeffrey. Any sort of passing, like last words you'd like to leave us with before we wrap up today?
Yes. For the people that are the messengers, that know they're supposed to be in front of rooms, I honor you, I respect you, and thank you for the work you've done, and you're doing a good job. We're so hard on ourselves as people that are here to change, so people that feel they're here to change the world and themselves. And maybe the biggest breakthrough would be to say thank you and for all the work you've done, because something's working, the planet's shifting, we're doing good. And so perhaps it's time to look in the mirror and honor each of us for doing such incredible work, whether in this dimension or other dimensions. And whether you understand what I mean by this dimension or other ones or not, doesn't matter. I honor you, I appreciate you for the work you're doing, because I can't do this alone. I used to think I could. I can't. Really, we all want peace on this planet, peace in our hearts, peace in this world. And we're doing this together. So thanks everybody for singing your song. And you too.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for your time, Jeffrey. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to chatting another time. And yeah, everyone go along and learn more about Jeffrey at jeffreyslater.com. Fantastic website, beautifully produced too, and some great resources there. And I'll probably see you at one of the live events very soon.
I hope so, Dallas. Take care, brother.
Fantastic. Thank you.